The boardroom felt like a pressure cooker, the air thick with tension. My own sister, Veronica, sat across the table, a triumphant smirk playing on her lips. Her perfectly manicured finger tapped on a file, a single word emblazoned across it. Proposal. A proposal that amounted to nothing less than a hostile takeover of my company, the company I had poured my heart and soul into. Veronica, always the queen of theatrics, had chosen this moment, during a routine board meeting, to launch her attack. The sheer audacity of it all almost made me laugh. Almost. But the amusement quickly faded, replaced by a chilling wave of betrayal. This was no joke. This was war. How could it have come to this? Veronica, my own flesh and blood, was attempting to wrest control of my company, my legacy. The weight of her betrayal felt like a physical blow. I looked around the table, searching for support, but the faces of my colleagues were carefully neutral, their eyes darting between Veronica and me. Growing up, Veronica and I were two sides of the same coin. I was the responsible one, the good son, always striving for my father's approval. Veronica, on the other hand, was the family princess, showered with attention and allowed to break all the rules. She was charming, vivacious, and utterly spoiled. I remember one Christmas when we were kids, Veronica had thrown a tantrum because she didn't get the exact dollhouse she wanted. A lavish Victorian-style mansion complete with miniature furniture and working lights. Our parents, desperate to appease their little princess, had scoured every toy store in town until they found it. I, on the other hand, had received a simple wooden train set, which I had cherished. Even then, I understood that Veronica's world operated on a different axis, one where her every whim was law. I loved my sister, but even then, I knew that her sense of entitlement was a dangerous thing. As we grew older, Veronica's manipulative tendencies became more pronounced. She was a master at playing the victim, using her charm to get what she wanted. Boyfriends, job opportunities, even sympathy, it all came easily to her. I remember once in college, Veronica had forgotten about a crucial exam and hadn't studied a bit. Instead of accepting the consequences, she had feigned a sudden illness, complete with fake tears and a convincing cough. The professor, completely taken in by her performance, had allowed her to retake the exam. I, on the other hand, had pulled an all-nighter studying, only to watch my sister sail through the exam with flying colors, her deception rewarded. It was a pattern that would repeat itself throughout our lives, Veronica, the master manipulator, always landing on her feet. Despite her outward charm, I always sensed a darkness lurking beneath Veronica's surface, a coldness in her eyes that belied her sweet smile. As the years went by and my career flourished, Veronica's resentment grew. She had drifted from one job to another, never quite finding her niche. Her relationships, always tumultuous and short-lived, left her feeling bitter and disillusioned. I had tried to help, offering her positions within my company, but she had always refused, her pride wounded. I think a part of her blamed me for her own failings, as if my success somehow diminished her own. The seeds of envy, sown long ago, had taken root, slowly poisoning our relationship. Section 5. A Family Divided. The news of Veronica's attempted takeover sent shockwaves through our family. Our parents, always susceptible to Veronica's crocodile tears, were torn. They pleaded with me to show compassion, to understand Veronica's perspective. She's just trying to find her place in the world, my mother had sobbed, her voice thick with tears. Can't you just give her a chance? But I knew better. This wasn't about finding her place. It was about taking mine. Veronica, fueled by years of resentment and a bottomless well of entitlement, was determined to destroy everything I had built. Our family, once a source of comfort and support, was now a battleground. Section 6. The Company in Chaos. The news of Veronica's hostile takeover bid spread through the company like wildfire. Employees, once loyal and dedicated, were now anxious and uncertain. Productivity plummeted. The very foundation of my company, built on trust and shared vision, was crumbling. Veronica, sensing my vulnerability, seized the opportunity. She began courting key investors, whispering promises of higher profits and a bolder vision. She painted me as an out-of-touch CEO, clinging to outdated methods. Her tactics were ruthless, her ambition boundless. She was willing to burn the company to the ground just to see me fall. The weight of responsibility pressed down on me, heavy and suffocating. I had to act fast to save my company, my legacy, from my own sister's venomous grasp. Section 7. Unmasking the Serpent. I knew that to defeat Veronica I had to expose her true nature to the board, to the investors, to the world. I began gathering evidence of her past misdeeds, her lies, her manipulations. It wasn't difficult to find. Veronica's life was a trail of scorched earth, littered with the casualties of her own making. Former friends, scorned lovers, disgruntled colleagues, all of them had a story to tell about Veronica's toxic behavior. I also discovered that Veronica had been siphoning funds from a trust fund our grandfather had set up for her, using the money to finance her lavish lifestyle and, more recently, her bid for my company. The evidence was damning, irrefutable. Veronica, the master manipulator, had finally overplayed her hand. Section 8. Reclaiming my birthright. The day of the board meeting arrived, thick with anticipation. Veronica, oblivious to my discoveries, strutted into the boardroom, her confidence radiating like a force field. She launched into her presentation, her voice dripping with false sincerity. But this time, her charms fell flat. I could see the doubt creeping into the eyes of the board members, the investors. When it was my turn to speak, I didn't hold back. I laid out the evidence piece by piece, exposing Veronica's web of lies and deceit. The silence in the room was deafening. Veronica's face, once flushed with triumph, now drained of all color. She sputtered, she raged, she pleaded, but it was no use. The truth was out. Section 9. A bitter pill to swallow. The board voted unanimously to reject Veronica's proposal. Her attempt at a hostile takeover had failed, thwarted by her own greed and ambition. She was removed from the board of directors and stripped of her voting rights. As for the embezzlement from her trust fund, I chose not to press charges. It was a small victory, but a significant one. Veronica left the boardroom that day a shadow of her former self, her carefully constructed world shattered. I watched her go, a part of me pitying her, another part of me hating her for what she had put our family through. The scars of her betrayal ran deep, a constant reminder of the darkness that can fester even in the hearts of those closest to us.